live. Let's see, we will start a poll. Did I make the right choice? Do yes, and we will do no. And we will put it right here. All right, so welcome everyone to another live stream. Today I wanted to just hop on and tell you about why I decided to switch from the iPhone Air to the iPhone 17 Pro. There really was like one main reason at the end of the day as to why I decided to make the switch. And that reason, to be quite honest with you, was because of the cameras in the back. Right now I'm recording on the iPhone Air. I'm really enjoying the Air. I love the Air. I think the Air is a fantastic device, and I think a lot of people who never own the Air make comments and make it seem like it's the worst phone ever, and that's just not even true at all. The iPhone Air is incredible. It's a really, really solid device. In my opinion, it's the best looking iPhone device, and definitely feels really good in your hand. The titanium is super solid, really well polished. It's very slim, it's very fast. So I think a lot of people, and especially reviewers, made it seem like the iPhone Air was the worst thing that ever came out, and that's just so far from the truth. But for me as a content creator, what's hard for me to justify, as I've spent now over a week using the iPhone Air, is I just think not having those three cameras as a content creator has been something that I do miss more than when I initially got the iPhone Air. And in the beginning, it definitely was a compromise. And I think that's a word that a lot of people are talking about this year when it comes to the iPhone 17s, is compromises that people are making for their devices. And I never think that's a good thing when you own a product. Is you don't want to make compromises for a device that you're paying close to $1,000, if not more, for your device. And I think with the iPhone Air, for everything that it does super well, I think as a content creator, I do want extra cameras in the back. And I understand that if you are to go with the Air, I don't imagine most people are content creators. So that's why the iPhone Air is really great for a lot of people, because they're not content creators. They're not people who are always shooting 4K video. They're not always pushing their device to the maximum level settings. You don't like me? Okay. And they're pushing their device all the way to the maximum settings. And I think, for most of us, all we want is just a solid device. And that's really what it's all about. And I think the iPhone Air, like, I really wish that the other iPhones had titanium. I wish a lot of other devices had that titanium frame. Like, I think if the 17 Pro, 17 Pro Max, and even the 17, if they all had titanium, I feel like they would be way better devices and just feel better overall. So that's pretty upsetting when it comes down to that. But I've loved the Air. Again, I'm using it right now. I think it's really nice. But yeah, as a content creator, I just need those extra cameras, and that's the reason why I wanted to make that switch. Now, Apple, a lot of what they do now, especially with the supply chain, is they make a certain amount of the devices, and then based on how they sell, they will then produce more of those iPhones. So currently, right now, there are a lot of people who are waiting for the 17 Pros, the 17s. I think the 17 Pro Max was quite popular. I know the Air obviously as well, but currently there are a lot of back orders, which is kind of crazy. So a lot of people are really just waiting for their iPhones to come in, which is, again, unfortunate because, if you pre-ordered your iPhone, you're still waiting. That's pretty upsetting. But I know, I'm waiting for the 17 Pro to come into the mail. I think it will come pretty soon. But again, that's quite upsetting. But besides that, as one of my screens falls, another thing that, obviously a lot of people are talking about is the fact that the scratch gate when it comes to the, all the other models besides the Air. Now, Apple has claimed to address this problem. They said that it has to do with like the charging, which I don't know. I think they kind of knew that this aluminum was going to scratch really easily, which is again upsetting. But at the same time, they're saying you can wipe it off. I don't know if that's fully true. I mean, I always use cases on my iPhone. I've always just wanted to protect my device. I do have protection plans, and if my phone were to break, I could bring it in, get it repaired. But I've never understood people who don't use a case. But that's the thing with the iPhone Air. Like currently I have a case on it, but for me, I feel like the iPhone Air is a phone that you wouldn't want to have a case on it just because of how thin it actually is. So it's kind of interesting. But the iPhone Air has proven to be like one of the strongest devices out there, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. The iPhone Air is the thinnest phone out of all the models this year, and yet it is one of the most durable phones. I uploaded a YouTube short, and it was a video of a guy who dropped a 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max and an iPhone Air and dropped it from a really high stairwell, and he dropped both devices, and then he went and he looked at what the devices, how it turned out. And the iPhone Air, literally the screen still worked, it was still intact. Like yes, there was some cracks, but everything still worked. And then the iPhone Pro or Pro Max was like completely shattered. It was, hello Hydra, it was literally shattered to the max. And like, yeah, it was bad. So I think the fact that Apple's engineers were able to create a phone that is so thin that could withstand that much damage is incredible. And that was one of the selling points of why I wanted the Air. And I'm really frustrated and kind of torn because I want to keep the Air, but as a content creator, I need those cameras. And that's kind of like what it comes down to at the end of the day. And I think in the future when the iPhone Air has new models, or I guess a second generation, I think they will listen to people and know that the cameras are a big deal for a lot of people, but also not everyone uses it. But the iPhone Air, for whatever reason, ever has either, more features in the camera, I definitely would go back to it. So love from India, thank you. I always have a case, even if it's just clear thin case. It still shows off your phone. Yeah, I also have a clear case. When do you plan to shave? What? Displays are made in Samsung. Samsung, in my opinion, makes some great phones. I once had a 24 Ultra, and that was a really great phone. I really enjoyed using that device. Unfortunately, T-Mobile sent me a device that was reported as stolen. So the backstory of that is they somehow got a device. They marked it as stolen when it really wasn't. They shipped it to me when during my initial setup of wanting to set up the device. It wouldn't let me get through the process of activating it because it said it was stolen. I then called T-Mobile, took like an entire week to try to get to a representative, and finally they just said, "Yeah, you're gonna have to send this back," and blah blah blah. So I ended up leaving T-Mobile. I'm now with Verizon. It's been a much better experience. I would never go back to T-Mobile personally. I think their service is really bad in terms of just customer service. But besides the point, I have Verizon. So right now, I went to the Verizon store a few days ago last week, and I ordered the 17 Pro, which I'm going to trade the iPhone Air in. And I'm very sad about it. But again, I think my reasoning is pretty justified. But man, I'm gonna miss the Air. Gonna miss it. Sorry, iPhone displays. Okay, yeah, T maybe that is a way better name for their company, T maybe. But yeah, I love the Air. Something I also wanted to talk about in this video are the speakers. So I feel like sometimes what happens with a lot of reviewers, especially the big named ones, is they make their videos super just like fast paced, high production, but they don't think about the average consumer of what people really want in a device. I don't think most people are putting their iPhone speakers to the max volume and blasting sound. Now, if you are, that's fine. But I don't think most people are doing that. And I think when a lot of reviewers say that the iPhone Air's speaker sucks, I think that's definitely an over exaggeration. I don't think they're really considering that most people wear headphones these days. but the iPhone Air has been honestly very good when it comes to speaker. It has one speaker, it doesn't have two, but I haven't really noticed that much of a difference. And it was never something that I was worried about when I had the device. And even having it for quite some time, I've never been upset about having one speaker. So I've never really understood why they made it seem like that. But I literally can hear everything. Like when I watch videos, I'll watch live streaming, I'll watch YouTube videos. I've not noticed a big difference when it comes to sound quality and like having it not be good. So I've never really understood that. You can find the Samsung phone. Okay, I had a Samsung for 4 hours, coming from Apple since 3G. How about the battery life on the Air? The iPhone Air has had a really good battery life, and this is coming from someone who is now switching to the 17 Pro because of the cameras. The iPhone Air battery has gotten exponentially better over time. Not that it was bad when I first got the device, but this lasts literally the entire day. I'll tell you exactly what I do typically each day. I will record maybe some clips of 4K. I go on walks. I'll use my phone to watch YouTube. I'll watch live streaming. I'll call. I'll text. I'll surf the web, download images, things like that. And I'll wake up at maybe 9 a.m., 8 something, and then I go to bed around like 10, and I still have maybe 15, maybe 10 to 20% left. So it's not like the Air is bad in terms of battery life. Have you been in public transportation? There's a lot of people that blast their phones. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are very inconsiderate when it comes to that. I don't really take too much public transportation, but I know if like you're going into New York City, I know there's a lot of people that do that. So, if you are someone that does that, I guess you would definitely go with the Pro or the Pro Max for the speaker. But again, I don't think most people really need that in a phone. I have an iPhone 14 using it for 3+ years, but should I upgrade to the 17 or the OnePlus 13? That's a great question. Personally, I think this year the 17 is probably going to win the award for like best phone of the year. Because if you think about it, if you look at all the features you get in the iPhone 17, like the base model, and then the price that you're paying, I have really no competition in terms of best value. The OnePlus is a really cool phone, but I personally think the 17 is probably the better option. But I think at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is which operating system do you prefer? Do you prefer Android or do you prefer Apple? And that to me is the biggest thing. Yeah, but one speaker on a 90 divide. Yep. Considering it's been forever since they easily. Yeah, I do agree that they could have put more than one. I definitely think if you're paying more money for a device, you probably should have two speakers. I agree with you. I definitely don't disagree. Have you created any content on your iPhone 17 Pro Max yet? So I didn't order the 17 Pro Max. I ordered the 17 Pro and I'm waiting for that to come in the mail, but it was back ordered. So it should be coming in the next week or 2 weeks. But I'm using the iPhone Air right now. But I didn't want to go with the 17 Pro Max, just felt a little too big. I did have a 15 Pro Max, and for me, it was just like I didn't need that big of a phone, to be quite honest. I had the Redmi phone, then got iPhone. I can use both and don't get stuck on one iOS. Interesting. Just hopped in. What's up here? I'm talking about pretty much the iPhone Air, the 17 Pro, just, that type of content. But yeah, my biggest thing with this year with Apple's devices, I'll be honest, is I don't understand the whole titanium and aluminum thing that's going on. Years ago, Apple said to us that titanium was like, way lighter, way stronger. This is kind of what we're going to be doing. It's a better quality material. And that was a huge selling point for the 15s is they were talking about this new titanium. Then the 16s come out and then the 17s and they're like, all right, we're going to go back to aluminum. And I'm really confused. Why would they do that? Like, why would they tell us that titanium was so amazing and then they go back to aluminum and then they talk about how this is going to be better for battery life and it's going to make things cooler, but it's like, why did you push titanium on people for so long? And then when you see these drop tests with the Air and how the titanium is just fantastic, it's a little frustrating. It doesn't really make sense. iPhone 17 is arguably the best phone launched. Yes. Marketing stuff, Yep. How much do you think you've spent on new models that have no upgraded added to them? So with when it comes to phones, I normally finance them through my carrier, so I'm paying a certain amount per month for the phone. I rarely ever buy a phone outright. But in terms of buying phones that have less features, I think probably the Air is the only phone that I bought within the last 5, maybe 10 years that went from having normal features to not having them. But it's kind of interesting because when I've had the Air and I've done these reviews, a lot of what I've normally had, it was not something that I was like, oh wait, I'm missing this. The only thing that I've really noticed is not having the cameras has been something that I've really missed having. So that's kind of, that's like something that's annoying. So I want to just show you guys something really quick. Hopefully you stay with me in this live stream. So I'm going to flip the camera around. So this is the normal camera right here. And this is me zooming in, but you cannot go wider than that. This is as wide as you can go. So the problem with it is, you don't have the same zoom, but you also don't have that wide angle lens, which is kind of annoying. I'll be honest. Like, as someone who makes videos, it is frustrating not having that. So that, for me, that's a reason why I switched. But that's so upsetting because I love the Air. And when I made a video talking about me switching from the Air to the 17 Pro, I had so many hate comments from people being like, "You're a traitor. This is just the honeymoon phase. You clearly, blah blah blah," which is just further from the truth. That's not even true whatsoever. I absolutely love the iPhone Air. It's incredible, truly an incredible device. It's just frustrating that, we didn't get those cameras. But yeah, I think for most people, like you said, most people don't need all these crazy cameras. They just want a phone that operates and does well. And I think someone who made a comment earlier is the fact that I imagine in a year or so, maybe 2 years, if they continue to do the line of the iPhone Airs, I think that they will make a lot of adjustments. I do think they'll probably make it like thicker, but I think they'll probably include another speaker. I think they will somehow make the battery even better than what it already is. Yeah. And then another thing that I've noticed with the iPhone Air is like you actually forget that it's in your pocket. There's been a few days where I'm walking. I actually like said to my girlfriend, "Wait, I forgot my phone." And then I'm like, "Oh wait." And because when you go from the 15 Pro Max, then you go to an iPhone Air, the difference in holding it and the difference of having it in your pocket is so different. It's so different. Hello, Signature. Thank you for stopping by, and hello. But very different. It's such a light phone, and whenever I've been around family or brought it out while I'm, let's say eating, people are very curious about the device, and they're like, "Wait, this is so thin," and it really is. It's incredible. It's definitely a really cool phone. People hated me for saying that this phone is innovative, but it is what it is. I really want the iPhone 17, especially with the 120 hertz for gaming. Yeah, so even the iPhone, I'm pretty sure all the models this year have 120 hertz. I think if you're a gamer, like this is my opinion, all the phones will do great when it comes to gaming. It's more of if you want to put your phone, if you want to play a game to the max setting for an extended period of time, which device should you choose? And obviously, you're gonna want to go for the pros. That's like anything, but 17 the Air can all do games really well, so it's not really a big problem. Yes, hello. Thank you, Vex. Thank you for stopping by. But yeah, the Air has not had any issue. Like I'm literally live streaming right now, and the phone is not getting hot. Like there's no lag. The phone is perfectly fine. So there were a few reviews where people are like, the iPhone Air, it's not fast. It glitches all the time. A lot of these people, you gotta understand, a lot of comments and people who like talk about certain devices, a lot of them don't even have the phone. They just make stuff up and they read one article and they don't actually finish the article. Then they think that, a device is horrible and it's really not. Um, I was about to sneeze there and then I didn't, but oh wait, I'm about to sneeze. I, I apologize. I had to sneeze there, but yeah, it's been awesome. It's been a really cool device. I'm actually really liking it. Um, and then, yeah, I use headphones a lot. This was another thing I wanted to talk about. I know Apple came out with new AirPods this year. So these are not the new AirPods. These, I think, are like the second gen. I think you guys can still hear me. I think these are like the second generation, maybe third. I don't know which ones they're called. But Apple came out with the new AirPods. I think they apparently sound really good. I haven't gone to try them, and they're not going to let people try AirPods, but maybe I'll consider getting them for Christmas. We'll see. But at the right now, I don't think I really need to do that. Did you see some people's iPhones are bending, specifically the 17 Pro Max? I have seen a few videos of that happening. I think there are two reasons why that's occurring. Number one, the 17 Pro Max is a very large phone. Like if you go and you hold it in person, it's extremely large. I had a 15 Pro Max, it's a large phone. And I think when you have a device that is that thick, that big, I personally think they should have put titanium on it. But again, it's Apple's decision. It's what they want to do. But that's what I think should have happened. I have the AirPods 4. Very cool. Bro, have you the in Peru are using flag? I don't know what that really means, but yeah. Are you related to? Okay. So, anyways, yeah, Apple obviously said that these new AirPods have like live translation. It's not really what it is, but a lot of people thought like you could go into a restaurant and if you heard people talking another language, you could somehow have that translate. That's not what it is. It's really just if you're talking to someone who maybe, doesn't speak your language, you're in another country, you're up close to them, you are able to translate the things that they're saying. So that's kind of like what they're used for, but a lot of people thought that wasn't the case. But I don't know, I'm gonna wait to order it, but yeah. But in terms of the 17 Pro Max, I think when you have aluminum on a device that is that thick, it is bound to obviously have issues. Now, I don't think your phone is randomly going to bend. I don't know. People don't tend to really tell the story of what actually happened. Now, if you're sitting on your phone and it bends, I mean, that's pretty upsetting. But again, I don't understand why people don't use cases these days. Like, to me, what that feels like is, um, I don't know, it's like riding a bike, for example. Like, if you have a bike, and you want to be protected, you should wear a helmet. And then it's like if you're not, you're risking the chance of you getting more hurt. So I feel like with the device, it's like by not having a case, you are risking your device getting more damaged. For me, I can't go back to the regular size iPhones. The Air size factor makes me realize they can make phones thinner, but not really enjoying since America like more. Do you play Clash Royale? I do not. Opinion on the Ryder Cup? I don't really watch that. That's my fear durability. I like very much the pros with the scratch gate and now this bending. I think I'm going for the Air this time. So I have the iPhone Air. I'm recording from it. I think it's a really great device. It's it's very thin. It's strong. You can't go wrong with the iPhone Air. And again, I would have kept this phone for a long time if it wasn't for not having the cameras. And like I said before, just being a content creator, I need those cameras. So it is kind of upsetting, but we'll see. And if my phone just randomly starts bending, that's going to be really upsetting. And yeah, so we'll see. I really love the Air, and I think it would have been greater if they used A19 normal chip instead of this 19 Pro, as that would solve the heating issue. So there's another thing I want to address. I have not had any issues with heating. I don't know, maybe other people's devices are experiencing that. I really have not had any issues when it comes to heating. I've recorded in 4K. I've been editing in 4K. I haven't felt like the phone is overheating by any means. So it's a little confusing when people say that. I don't know. I mean, the iPhone Air has more heat generated on the top of the device rather than the entire one, which kind of makes sense because the main components of the iPhone Air are all at the top section of the phone in the back. Um, and the reason they did that is so that the battery one can have more room by itself, be longer, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, but I haven't experienced any like real heating issues. I know with the new 17 Pro and the Pro Max, they have that vapor chamber. Really, what that means in simple terms, the heat that comes from the top of the phone, they're just essentially pushing it down. And what that does is it kind of just spreads out the heat, not making it super hot in one spot. Um, let's see. Have you used? No, I have not used that. What is the IP rating? I don't know the exact number, but I do know you don't have to worry about bringing it into water. Like that's not. Pretty sure you can literally bring this into the ocean and you'll be fine. Obviously, not go like scuba diving, but yeah. Could 144 hertz be coming in the 16 or the 18 Pro as 120? I think it's possible. Again, iPhones, when it comes to updates and it comes to changing things in devices, Samsung, but in my opinion, does a way better job of trying new things and like putting new technology in their phones. But when it comes to updates, Apple tends to be pretty slow with what they want to change. And I think that could be really interesting, like having that. 120 hertz is really, really nice, but I don't know. Do you watch his reviews? Your style is very similar to him. I've not checked him out, but I will. Again, I don't know. I just like to be transparent. I don't like to really like make things seem like over exaggerate and do these crazy clips where it's like 5 seconds you're showing the phone and then like sometimes it just feels like too much. Like I just prefer videos where people are just talking and just being honest and like transparent. I don't want the video to be the super high produced video. Like it can just be normal, you're just talking and sitting down. Saw another YouTuber that recorded at a 4K video and it was a sunny day and then the iPhone Air was very hot, or the iPhone was very hot and it was messing with his video. I don't know. I don't know. I think Apple choosing aluminum was a bad choice. Interesting. Um, no, I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, it was. I don't know. They went from saying the titanium was like the big thing, the big hit, and then they just decided to change that. And um, whether it actually was about like heat, I don't know. I think the main reason why, I'll be honest, I think what it came down to is they wanted to save on cost, and aluminum is a cheaper material than titanium. And I think, especially with tariffs, I think that titanium is becoming more expensive, one, to ship, to get. So I think Apple, in a way, knew that, just having at least one device that was titanium would be fine. But across all of them, I think they decided to just not do that. Um, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for the emoji. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think Apple just, I don't know, I think Apple sometimes, I don't know. They obviously know what they're doing when they make these decisions, but for the phones to not have titanium, I think that's very upsetting, and I think they made a big mistake in not adding, a polished titanium. And I think when it comes to the pros, another problem is on the top of the kind of the part that has the cameras and the flashlight. They made a big mistake because they used I think it's ionized aluminum. It's something like that. And when you zoom in really close, it's not like structurally just a piece of aluminum. And what people have noticed with not using a case is if you scratch it, you're gonna notice those really apparently. So people who got the orange iPhone, they're already seeing a ton of scratches. So that was my next point. I wanted to talk about the orange iPhone Pro, the Pro Max. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of it. I think it looks really just, it's too bright. That's my opinion. I know a lot of people will choose to get that device, but I really don't think the orange looks that great. I think people in a few months are going to be like, I should have gotten the silver or the blue. But the orange to me just feels, I don't know. It's always going to be, whenever you have this like new color, people are going to think it's like the next best thing. It's really cool. It's so different, but It's like, who really wants an orange device at the end of the day? I know I really don't. Maybe instead of titanium, they could have gone back to stainless steel. Yeah, that could have been another option. They haven't used stainless steel in quite some time. So yeah, I think it when they don't include certain materials and devices, I think what it comes down to is mainly I think it mainly comes down to saving on cost at the end of the day. Hello, Priya. Thank you for stopping by. Hello to you. I went to an expensive nightclub and a lot of people are using the 17 Pro orange color. Yeah, 17 Pro color orange. I don't know. I went with the silver. So I ordered the silver 17 Pro and I think it looks way better. Excuse me. I have the 17 instead of the Air Pro. I don't know how I feel about it. I was thinking about getting the 17. There was a period where I was trying to decide what I should go with. I think the 17 is a really good device, but for me, like this is how I look at it. A lot of us tend to want the best features in a device. And if you want the best features, Apple obviously is going to make you pay more money to have the best features. But when you look at the 17, 17 pretty much has all the features. The only thing that it's really missing is the vapor chamber. It's missing the new chip. It's missing a bigger battery. And it's missing some of the like ProRes, things like that. So I guess in a way, it really just comes down to what you need in a device. And if you really want the best features of a phone, that's kind of what it comes down to. But yeah, Apple kind of really made it like they made a ton of different options for people to choose from this year. I recently got an iPhone 16 Pro Max, but regretting it because now I want that beautiful orange iPhone. I don't think it's, I don't think the orange is too great, but hey, respect to you. Base 17 has better performance and chipset than the last year's 16 Pro. Yeah, I saw that, which is kind of goes to show you that 16 like definitely shows you that the speed has gotten better and these chips that they're making does have a big difference. But again, I think something to note is whenever you have a new operating system like the iOS 26, it's going to slow devices down. So that is something to really think about. Whenever you come, Apple is notoriously known for coming out with new operating systems that completely slow down devices, and that's why they want you to upgrade. So a lot of people tend to not do software updates to avoid that problem. But yeah, I do have to head out. I appreciate everyone stopping by in this live stream, and I'll make sure to do another one soon. So thank you to everyone. Seems like people are kind of on the fence that I made the right choice, but thanks everyone, and have a great day.